Hello, One Pride Nation, and this is the Lions Personnel Breakdown Show. First off, I'd like to start off by saying thank you to everyone who liked, listened, subscribed, and commented on my first YouTube video. It is much greatly appreciated, and I'm just excited to keep it rolling. Alrighty, so today, second group, running backs, baby. Alright, so I'm going to start off by going from longest tenured Lions to shortest. And then from there, of course, we've got a few guys coming in their first year with us. So I'm going to go from veterans on the way down. So today I'm going to start off with Theo Riddick.
Yeah. Sis got blah boy, sis got blah boy. Sis got blah boy, sis got blah boy. Yeah. 901 Shelby Drive, look alive, look alive.
So, Theo Riddick. I love the guy. I think he is an amazing, amazing player. He is one of the best, if not the best, receiving backs out of the backfield. But his production has not been as high in recent years, and his running game production hasn't been high his whole career, in my opinion. His stats with us, so his entire career, he has just over 1,000 yards rushing and 5 touchdowns, whereas his receiving yards is 2,200 yards and 14 touchdowns, which are huge numbers for a running back. And also throughout his entire career, and I'm just counting offensive plays, not counting special teams or anything like that, he only has 2 fumbles. So he doesn't turn the ball over very much at all. I like him a lot, and like I just said, I think he's a great receiver out of the backfield, and there's been many Lions fans on Twitter that think that he'd be better off almost as a slot receiver, kind of like a Danny Amendola type, and I think he'd excel at that position. I just don't think, with how much money he's counting against the cap this year, and the direction our offense is going with Darrell Bevell, that he is going to be utilized the way he should be. And I think his production is going to dip even more. And with how much money we are spending towards him, I think he would be better suited on another team. And it's sad to say because he is an amazing player. And he was here at the start when we started turning things around in Detroit. And I think that the Lions could very well trade him during the preseason. And there's just too many running backs in that room that have talent for us to keep a guy that doesn't completely fit the system that we're going to be in. So, in my opinion, I think he is going to get traded. Worst case scenario, he's going to get cut. So, farewell to Theo Riddick. But I'm not calling it right now. I'm not completely shutting the door on him. We've still got an entire preseason to go. Entire training camp, and he'll of course excel like he always does during the off season. Maybe he'll turn some heads with Darrell Bevell and the rest of the offensive guys, and we'll keep him around for some trick plays, something like that. Who knows? But if I had to bet on it right now, I'd say Theo Riddick gets traded before the start of the season. Alrighty, folks. So second running back. Second longest tenured Lion running back. That is Zach Zenner, baby.
Yeah.
Weezy,
Back home smoking legal. I got more slaps than the Beatles. Foreign running on diesel, dog. Playing with my name, this lethal, dog.
Product out of South Dakota State, D1 AA team up there. Shout out to the Jackrabbits. He has been with us for a few years now, and of course he's had his injuries. Just like last season, he had the back injuries, and that made us release him. And then he got bigger, faster, stronger, got picked up at the end of the season, and played well. I honestly think that he has not had the chances that he should have, and I think he deserves more opportunities in this offense. Just based off of his stats right now, he has, of course, only playing with us. He's only had 685 yards rushing and only 263 yards receiving, which I'm not saying he's a receiving back or anything like that. He's much more of a bigger back that can. He's a lot like Kerryon Johnson in the way that when he gets hit, he's able to stay up. He has the balance. So he does not have very many yards at all, but he also has 8 touchdowns rushing, which Theoretic only got 5. And Theoretic's being a longer tenured Lion. So there's that aspect of it. I think that Zach Zenner is very much a pound it back and should be used more in the red zone. I think with us having LeGarrette Blount last year, he took up almost all of those carries. And like I said, Zach Zenner wasn't there in the middle of the season for us because of his back injury. But I feel like Zach Zenner can excel this season and for even a few years to come, as long as he stays healthy, with the power back role in the red zone when we get down in there. Because everyone knows we got those 2 massive tight ends, Jesse James and TJ Hawkinson. They're ready to butt some heads. And we got our swing tackle, Tyrell Crosby. So there's that. Yeah. So my prediction on Zach Zenner is, of course, he's already signed with us. So I think that he will excel in the preseason yet again. And he will make the roster. And he will be our number 3 back behind people I will talk about in just a little bit. Alrighty. Next running back. Kerryon Johnson.
Blindfold on. Mama always asking where did I go wrong. What's up, danger? What's up, danger? Travel 200 miles, I'm knocking at your door. And I don't really care if you ain't done wrong. Come on, what's up, danger?
Love this guy out of Auburn. He had a good rookie year. It wasn't great because of injury. He got injured in the Carolina Panther game. And that was devastating for the rest of our season, in my opinion. Well, the way I look at it is, and most diehard Lions fans, is that we are now a running football team, and we should have been more of a running football team last year. We have Kerryon Johnson. We had LeGarrette Blount as much as he was a disappointment last season. We had guys to run the football, and we had bodies, but we wouldn't run 2 tight end sets. We wouldn't drive it down people's throats, and Matthew Stafford didn't have receivers because they were injured. So Kerryon Johnson, being out as he was, made our offense completely derail. So I think this season he will explode, barring injury. He's going to have an amazing season. I'm talking about 2,000 all-purpose yards. His numbers last season, while being out for 6 games at the end of the year, he had 641 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, and he also had 200 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. And that kind of production with only 10 games is great. Yes, he got injured, so the season wasn't amazing or great like it should have been. But next year, mark my words, he will be a 1,000-yard rusher. And Darrell Bevel's already talked about it. Matt Patricia talks about it all the time. He's not going to be a cowbell back like Zeke Elliott. That's not the way we run it. That's not the Patriot way, which we are because Matt Patricia brought that over. We will have running back by committee, and there's nothing wrong with that. It works great. There's many teams that use it. There's much more teams that use that than cowbells. So, also, what I'd like to bring up is his turnovers. He did have 1 fumble last year, which was his rookie year. He's learning. So there's nothing to be too scared about right there. And, man, his hands are amazing. That's something they didn't use very much at Auburn whatsoever. And it honestly went under the radar. The Lions did a lot of research on him. Of course, they drafted him. And look at that. He's got amazing hands. They do their research. Their scouts know what they're doing. Okay, so obviously my prediction for this season with Kerryon Johnson, I've already talked to you about his production. I think he'll be the number one back. He was last year. There shouldn't be a question that he's the number one back this year. I think he's going to have a great season, like I'm saying, and he will be the featured back. What I mean by that is he's not going to have 30 touches like Zeke, like I was talking about earlier, but he'll have between 15 and at the high end, at the absolute most, 25 touches a game, which does not seem like a lot, but throughout the course of a game with the other running backs that we have, he is going to do wonders with that many touches. With how explosive our offense is going to be and with the other weapons I'm going to talk about down the road, he is going to explode. Mark my words. Love this guy. He's my favorite running back on the team. So, yeah, just excited to see what this season has upcoming with him. Just hope he stays healthy. That's what I'm praying for. Alrighty. Now it's time for first-year Lions players. Starting off with the veteran, C.J. Anderson.
Things in my day, I admit it. I don't take back what I say. If I said it, then I meant it. All my life I won a Grammy, but I probably never get it.
Nicknamed the bowling ball. And most people, everybody, says that because of his weight. And that has been a talked about discussion through the off season. And he's even talked about it himself throughout Twitter. And has stated last season was one of his worst seasons being in shape-wise. And this season, he said that he is going to be in the best shape of his life. And he's training hard right now. And I think he's going to get there because he's a professional athlete. He doesn't BS, and he knows how to work, and he's ready to work. Alrighty, so his production. He was drafted in 2013 by the Denver Broncos, and he has had 3,454 yards and 22 touchdowns on the ground. And receiving, he's had 900 yards with 5 touchdowns. But one thing, he's played for a few seasons, yes, but he's also had 4 fumbles. Higher than the rest of the guys so far I've talked about. Even higher than Theo Riddick. Yes, he was drafted a couple years before, but still. As a running back, you got to hold on to the football. As an offensive player, you got to hold on to the football. And like Darabelle was talking about, number one thing is protect the football. So that's going to be something to watch throughout the entire season. Make sure you hold on to that rock. And then goes on with the play. But he is a great number 2 back. I'm not saying number 1. I'm not talking about number 1. I'm talking about a number 2 back. When Kerryon Johnson gets tired, needs a breather, needs a quick swig, C.J. Anderson goes in, gets 4, 5, 6, maybe bursts one for 12, 13, 14 yards. That is what we need. We need that extra burst. He's not going to be a guy that's going to wow you with his speed or going to surprise you with his acrobatic catches. He's going to be a guy that just grinds and works for it and gets those hard-earned yards. And yeah, he has a little burst in him still. He hasn't been playing for too long, so he's still got that burst. And hopefully he can show it off a few times this season. So, all right, talking about roster. I think he's definitely going to make the roster as well. I think he will be our number 2 back behind Kerryon Johnson. And I think him and Kerryon are going to complement each other very well because Kerryon's got some power. He's got amazing speed. But I think Kerryon is a great catching as well and receiving. So I think pairing him with a pound it back that can go in and get the hard yards and almost be the one who gets beaten up more and for us to be able to save Kerryon, that I think he'll fit perfectly in this system with Darrell Bevell and complement Kerryon Johnson greatly. Alrighty, time to talk about the second running back that is coming up with his first year with the Lions. That is Mark Thompson from the Baltimore Ravens. He came out of Florida a couple years ago. He has not played in the regular season, but his preseason stats last year were 146 yards on the ground and 76 yards receiving. It's not too bad for 4 preseason games with having to share with tons of other guys trying to get on the roster and stuff like that. I think he's a good running back. Of course, he hasn't played in regular season games, and there's a reason for that, because he's maybe wasn't ready yet. Maybe he'll explode in the preseason and we keep him. In my opinion, I do not think we will, and I'm sorry for that, and hopefully he catches on with another team. But like I was saying, I think our running back room is too full, and that's just, it is what it is. Numbers game catches you sometimes. Alrighty, time for the last running back. Rookie out of Maryland, Ty Johnson.
In the big house.
His stats, his senior year at Maryland, he had 500 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns, and 318 yards receiving and 2 touchdowns. It's not great production, but it's pretty good for college, especially with them only playing 12 games. He actually got beat out, I want to say it was junior year and a little bit of senior year, by this younger running back. So that's why he was drafted so low. He had a huge dip in production. But man, this guy can zoom. This guy has blazing speed. He's already working with the return specialist at the OTAs. And I think he will make this team as our 4th running back behind Kerryon Johnson, CJ Anderson, and Zach Zenner. I think the reason he'll make this team is because of his return skills and how fast he is. Like, I'm not kidding you guys. Dude can zoom, as you can tell by the highlights I showed you earlier. So I think my prediction this season, Kerryon Johnson number 1, CJ Anderson number 2, Zach Zenner number 3, and Ty Johnson number 4. Mark Thompson, just not going to cut it. And Theo Riddick is out the door. I think Ty Johnson is Theo Riddick in a lot of ways. I'm not saying he's a carbon copy, but there's a lot out there that is similar in their games, such as he catches the ball like Theo does. Maybe not as high as production, because in college you've got other running backs, and colleges don't use them as properly as they should. But he's got blazing speed, and he can catch, and he can still run. Got those quick plays to the edge, stuff like that. So, and he's also a rookie, so he's got potential that the Lions saw in him. That's the reason they drafted him, albeit late. So those are my predictions at the roster and the depth chart for running backs. This group will be huge for us this year. They will have lots of yardage, lots of production, lots of touchdowns. This group is going to be deadly. Everyone else in the NFL are underestimating how good the Lions' backfield is going to be. And trust me, their eyes are going to be opened real quickly. Alrighty, thank you for listening to another episode of the Lions Personnel Breakdown Show. Signing off.